What's up everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Now in today's video, we're gonna do something totally different. I've never done this before. I'm actually really shocked that I did. I read an entire book. Every chapter, every word. I'm very proud of myself, but actually shocked that I was able to accomplish this. If you want to know all the tea about Lance Bass and his moment in Sync, then keep on watching. Okay, so this book is juicy. I'm just gonna say it right now. It's good. And if you haven't read it yet, you need to. This is perfect book for Pride Month. We are in June, and this is a perfect coming out story. It's emotionally difficult to read, the things that he went through in this book. It's nothing severe, it's a lot. And I didn't think it's one of those things, I didn't think it would happen to him. I didn't think he would be the one that would have to go through all these things, and lo and behold, he is human just like everybody else. Now, if you haven't read the book, this is going to be all the spoilers. Like I said, this is a very old book. I think it came out 12 years ago, 13 years ago. I have to double check. I'll put it right here, the date that it was what the hell's the damn word? Published. Girl, words. So I want to start off with the actual cover. The cover tells a lot. You see him standing by himself. It's very typical, like memoir, autobiography. It's usually them standing by themselves, them sitting on a couch. It's usually just all about them by themselves, maybe a dog, but nobody else is in the shot, which is like obvious. I get it. It's about you. All right. The thing that I like about it is the title, Out of Sync. He was a band member of the boy band, which he hates that word. I don't understand why. But he was a member of the group NSYNC back in the 90s, early 2000s. And in the sunglasses here, you can see all of the mirror reflection of the fans that obviously they accumulated over their time in the band. I think it's a really interesting cover. It's straight to the point. It's about Lance Bass. It's called Out of Sync. It's a memoir. Like, there's really not much to it. But I really do like the little ad that they did with the glasses. I think that's super cool. And of course in the back, it's just more him. You're gonna get a lot of glare, bear with me. It's 195 pages, and I was able to read this entire book within a week. This is the first book that I ever read. I've never read an entire book, cover to cover, in my life, and this is the one that I started with. I am very, very proud of myself. And I feel like if you want to accomplish something like that, it's easy. Pick up a book. The way I did it is I just picked a book, a random book. I have probably like 100 books, and this is the only one that I've read. And I've had these hundreds of books for 10 years, 9 years, something like that. It's been several years that I've had all these books, and this is the only one that I've read. Mind you, I do have picture books, they don't count. Woke up one day and was kind of like, hey, I'm gonna start reading a book. Don't really know how we're gonna get it done, but I'm going to set aside 1 hour every day to read this book. I didn't really have a plan. I didn't really know which book it was gonna be. I kind of blindly. I chose a random book from my collection, and this is it. This was the book that I ended up choosing. I literally read however much I can get through in 1 hour. I set a timer on my phone, and however far I got is however far I got. Even if it was in a juicy spot, I stopped at the 1 hour mark and I waited until the next day to read it. That was difficult because this book is juicy, it's good, and I still can't believe I'm talking about a book. It's just so not like me. It is so weird. So if you have read the book, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about it. I liked it. I thought it was a really good book. It's so juicy. It talks about everything from his upbringing to getting into various groups from choir to outside of school, and then getting a phone call from Justin Timberlake to start the band. It is random how his journey started with singing and getting into pop music in the boy band and NSYNC. It talks about their first contract, which was the shittiest contract ever. It doesn't talk about the logistics of the contract in here, which kind of sucks, but it does talk about how Lou Pearlman literally screwed them over and owned everything that they were ever to produce under that contract. And you know what? I feel like this happens a lot more often than we would like it to happen. When somebody brings you your dream, here's your dream, sign the papers, I want to make your dreams come true. People usually just sign them without really going through with the fine comb and picking out the red flags and having it looked over by a lawyer and an entertainment lawyer, because they're very two different things. And so whether they did that or not, they didn't really go into specifics on how many times they got it looked over. They said they got it looked over once. That's how I interpreted it in the book. I guess that sufficed for the time being, but as time went by, they weren't making any money. Girl, it's good. We're gonna get into it right now. Lou Pearlman. What the actual hell? I don't understand how Lou can think he is the sixth group member of the band NSYNC. In the book, he was quoted several times saying he was a sixth band member of NSYNC. I don't know how. I've never even seen this person. I don't know what he looks like. I'll insert a picture here and we can all look together, because I did not do my research on Lou Pearlman. He was nobody in this triangle moment, but he's a big part of what happened during the fetal stages of NSYNC. Honestly, the contract that they were given basically gave Lou Pearlman all rights to NSYNC, merchandising, ticket sales, concert tours, literally everything. They got almost nothing. Not a couple $1,000s, nothing. Like, everything was being recuperated through them touring, but they never really got an answer as to why we were paying stuff off when we never really got anything in the beginning. At least that's how I interpreted it. Now, after a while of them not getting paid what they felt they were owed, they finally got it looked over by a lawyer. The lawyer looked at it, said it was the worst contract in entertainment history, and they started proceeding with trying to get out of the contract. This contract, it's not in the book. They don't mention a lot of specifics about the contract. They keep everything pretty airtight, for good reason, I would assume. They talk about the contract, and it's shit. It is the worst contract. They get almost nothing. They go through the proceedings of trying to get out of the contract, and it's difficult, to the point where Lou Pearlman says, hey, you either fulfill your duties under the contract or there is no more NSYNC, period. And the guys actually thought about just breaking up the band because the contract was so bad. Luckily, there was a loophole in the contract. Most of the time, there's always a loophole. There's always something that didn't get accomplished within the time allotted. There's always something that was written in a way that was suggestive and not, required. Like, there's always a way to get out of a contract. From what I have seen online, read in the book, my experience, there's always a way out of a contract. It may not be what you want, but there's always a way out. In the contract, it states that once they got the record deal in America, they were to release an album within the first year. They never released the album. I think the album was like over a year after, if that. And so that was their loophole to get out of the contract. They finally get into a better contract, and then they were able to actually earn money. That kind of freaked me out because you think they're in sync. The hottest boy band of the late 90s to early 2000s. They have millions of fans. They sold millions of records. They have, I think, diamond plus platinum, blah, 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 record for hitting a certain amount of sales. You would think that they were making millions of dollars each person, you know, for all of the things that they were selling, their tours, their concert tickets, everything, and they weren't making almost nothing. So that kind of freaked me out. It's very shitty to be so greedy in general, more so in the entertainment industry, because everybody's gonna get a piece of the pie. Like, it's guaranteed you're gonna get money. You're gonna get what you are owed, what you earned. You're gonna get paid, in my opinion. The fact that Lou purposely wanted to control everything and earn all the money himself was so greedy and so slimy and just disgusting. Like, I get it, you work hard, but you're not up there singing for 2 hours straight. You're not in the studio, you know, 8 hours a day. You're not learning the choreography 3 times a week. Like, you're not doing the actual work. You're just picking up a phone, calling people. Like, there's no comparison. Like, get over yourself. I didn't know that they started overseas. I didn't know how popular they were overseas until I read it in the book, until it was explained. And apparently a lot of other people and bands start overseas and then come to America after they gain popularity. Apparently Americans are the worst to new music and new sounds. NSYNC started overseas, Backstreet Boys started overseas, and I'm sure there were several other 100 artists that started overseas, usually like in Europe, Germany, Berlin, all that stuff, before they come to America. I didn't realize, and I had no idea, that they had to tour all over Germany and Europe in order to gain their popularity to even be considered for an American audience, which I thought was insane. I don't understand why that happens like that. Maybe it's cheaper to do it that way. Maybe if it's not gonna do good over there, it might not do good over here. Maybe we're more of an expensive market to tap into. I don't know. It didn't really make that much sense to me, especially if they're all American. Every single one of the band members are from America. I don't understand why you wouldn't just start here. I want to talk about his voice tone in the book. Let me explain. In the book, he talks about his childhood, high school, not even going to college. I don't think he went to college, so I didn't read it in the book, to getting into NSYNC and then traveling, touring, and all of that stuff after he was popular with NSYNC. His voice in this book changes, which in the beginning of the book, I didn't like it because I felt like I was listening to a child. His voice is so young in the beginning of the book that it kind of like turned me off a little bit, and I was like, you're almost 30 years old when you published this book. Why do you sound so young? And then I kind of just, you know, chucked it up to, well, he's talking about his childhood. Maybe that's how I'm interpreting the voice. And then as he progresses through the book, chapter after chapter, his voice changes. And I think it just changes naturally. But it could be just the way that I'm interpreting it. It was just very interesting. I wanted to point that out because I feel like if I am reading it a certain way, somebody else read it a certain way, and then somebody else after that read it a different way. And so that was just my experience, the voice through the book. I want to talk about why NSYNC broke up. Now, this hurt to read. I am from the 90s. I listened to their music as they were coming up. I loved listening to their music. Their music was amazing. I liked it. Never knew why they broke up. Never knew why they didn't make any more albums. nothing was really explained. I never looked into it either, so it's a 50-50 thing on that. He talks about them breaking the band up. Now, it wasn't so much them as a collective as, hey, we all agree we're not going to do the band anymore, we're over it, we're getting older. No, ma'am. This was all Justin Timberlake's doing. So, in the book, he talks about taking a hiatus. You know, let's just take a 6-month hiatus. I want to be upfront with everybody. I am going to explore doing a solo album. And so the guys are like, okay, cool, good for you. We support you, do it. And he goes, please give me 6 months and we'll see where we're at 6 months. I don't know how long this is gonna take. It might not even be completed. It might just be a little phase. I don't know, but I wanna try it out. Everybody was like, okay, cool. All right, go do it, have fun. We'll be here whenever you wanna come back and do another album. You know, we can tour together whenever you want to go back into the studio with another NSYNC album. Let's do it, just give us a call. We'll come back in 6 months. 6 months rolls by and then he wants another hiatus and another hiatus and another hiatus. And I'm like, girl, shade. Shady, shady, shade. He sits them down after them putting their life on hold for almost over a year, or for about, over a year, and basically tells them, hey, we're gonna go forward with this after all. I don't want to do the band anymore. I want to go solo, and then proceeds to blame it on other people in the band. For example, Lance and Joey doing their little movie on the side years prior. And then he starts to make excuses in the sense that, well, the camaraderie is fading, we've been doing this for so long. Because mind you, I think they were in the band together for 7 years total. I think 4 or 5 of those years were in America, like American popularity. He just starts to blame everybody else instead of taking responsibility for his actions. I feel like he prolonged everything with these continuing hiatuses, which is not really how, girl. If you're gonna want more than a year of a hiatus, just quit. We're not gonna hold for you forever. And I feel like if he was more upfront about his wanting to become a solo artist and keeping up with the tracking or keeping the band members updated on how his solo career was going, the album, what was really going on behind the scenes, this probably wouldn't have happened. Yeah, they probably would have broken up, but it probably wouldn't have been for the reasons that he claimed were, which I don't believe him at all. Obviously, I'm not in the band, but still. From the outside looking in as a fan, even reading the book, I still don't buy it. It is what it is. I move on. So I want to talk about all of Lance's secret romances that happened throughout his NSYNC career. Now, in the book, he talks about 3 or 4 of them. None, in the early ones, they were not serious. It was a lot of secretive stuff, fun and games, slap and tickle. They got a lot more serious towards the end of his NSYNC career. And I feel, and he talks about it in the book as well, I feel like they weren't successful. Well, they didn't last as long as maybe they should have lasted if he was out of the closet. Now, throughout his entire NSYNC career, he was inside of the closet, he was on the down low, nobody knew that he was gay. As he bears his soul into this book, you realize that he is so human that even Lance Bass from NSYNC gets cheated on from almost every single one of his boyfriends that he had. Now, I feel like he put himself in those predicaments and those situations because he talks about it in the book that he wasn't himself. a lot of his relationships were on the down low. They were behind closed doors. That hindered, you know, his mentality on where the relationship was going to go, how long it was going to last. It's very interesting, and it seems like some of the boyfriends that he had were good. Like, they were both into each other, everything was good to go, and then they started cheating on him, which made no sense to me, honestly. I don't understand how you can cheat on Lance Bass. He's fucking sexy, he's hot. I don't get it. I don't understand, but I feel it's that moment where you have everything you've ever wanted, why aren't you happy? And then you go out and you get more things. You know what I mean? Like, you're never happy, or nobody's ever good enough. There's always somebody better out there. There's always somebody that is going to offer you something more or different or fresh. I don't know. It just didn't really make sense as to why they cheated. The way that they cheated sucked. One of them was in Florida, and he had called as he took a plane over to hang out with him one weekend. He called him, let him know, and the guy was super shocked. He lands, and Lance calls him, and he never shows up to pick him up. He calls him to pick him up, never shows up. Lance waits 30 minutes at the airport for this guy to answer his phone, never answers the phone, finally calls him back. And the reason, you know, he picks him up, they go, you know, have their weekend together. The reason that he didn't pick up and wasn't answering the phone is because he was cheating on him with a woman. Girl, why? It's Lance Bass. I don't understand. I don't understand some people. I don't get it. I don't understand why you can't be honest. You can't be upfront. You can't just communicate what you're feeling. I've had a lot of little flings and not many relationships, but you know what? Once I check out, honey, I'm gonna let you know. That way we can all be on the same page. I'm not gonna be shady about it. Like, it sucks, but I'm out. Like, sorry about your feelings, but I gotta go. Like, this isn't working for me. X, Y, Z, this is how I feel. Sorry, bye. Be upfront. I don't understand. I don't understand why they couldn't just tell him, like, hey, it's not working for me, you know, before they cheat. Of course, they all come clean after they cheat, but anyway. The other one that really pissed me off was when he was in LA in his house, invited all these people over to have a party. His boyfriend at the time, obviously on the down low, he starts to flirt with Lance Bass's friend. And slowly it starts to unravel throughout the night that they were flirting, and then there was kissing, and then Lance catches them having relations outside in a bush or something like that. Like, he wasn't really clear where they were, but he catches them having sex. And you know what? He handled it a hell of a lot better than I would. Like, I don't think I would ever be in the closet. I don't think I've ever been in the closet, but I don't know. I was gagged to find out how many times he's been cheated on, and it just kind of pissed me off that, I don't know, I feel like he let it happen on purpose. Like, I don't know. Also, he was in his early 20s. How many people have been there? You know what I mean? Like, you don't really know the flow yet. You're still trying to figure it out. Everything's new. He was in the closet, so he didn't really have many opportunities. At least that wasn't mentioned in the book. I don't know. There's just a lot of things that were going on. Cut to him coming out of the closet. Now, there's two things that, one thing pissed me off about it, and one thing was like, yes, this is good. So they agreed to let People magazine release the story. They end up bumping somebody off the front cover that was supposed to be in for that week. They fast forward everything, or they fast track everything. And they have Lance Bass on the cover, him coming out. Cool, everything is good. the one thing that Lance told them was, do not put gay on the cover. Don't put I'm gay, don't put anything that relates to gay on the cover. It's outplayed, it's overplayed, it's so impersonal, like it's so baity kind of thing. He talks about it in the book. And what does People magazine do? In big old bold yellow letters, I'm gay, on the front cover of People magazine with Lance Bass right there. It pissed me off. I felt like he needed to be more aggressive with his, with what he wanted to do. It was his story. He should have, they should have respected his wishes. He should have been more aggressive on making it clear that if you put I'm gay on the cover, you don't get the story. And I feel like people just, as a generalization, people will just go with whatever that's first given to them to get it off their chest, to just tell their story already. Maybe they're loyal to whoever wants to tell their story, but they're so done with holding in the secret, telling lies, living a lie, living a double life. Like, they're so tired of it that they may forget to advocate for themselves and be aggressive on what they want out of the story and how the story is going to be said and written. Now, many publications probably won't allow you to do that, but then they don't get the fucking story. Like, it goes both ways. You want to sell the copies, these are the rules. And he mentions in the book that he told them don't do it, they did it anyway, and it was done. There wasn't anything he can do anymore, but I just felt that he needed to be more aggressive. And I keep saying that because people forget that you have rights. Like, you are a human being. You're not just a tchotchke. You're not just, a thing. Like, you have feelings, and I feel like you need to make sure that your feelings and your needs and wants are heard and met just as much as the other person who's reciprocating them. There needs to be a level of respect, and there was no respect when People magazine decided to run the story how they saw fit. And I just didn't like that. He said something in the book. He said something that literally, just choked me. Like, I choked up, almost cried, because he's talking about when he's coming out to his family, his friends, his assistant, some of his business partners. He wanted to tell them first before they read it on the internet. That didn't follow through correctly, but he attempted. He's talking to his assistant, and she says, are you ready? Are you ready for all this stuff to come out? Like, it's gonna come out, it's coming up next week. He says, I feel like I'm going to be born. I don't know if you really understand how powerful that feeling and that those words are to somebody of the LGBTQ plus community. Feeling accepted and feeling that you're shedding your old skin, that you're finally going to move on, you're finally going to live your life, you're not going to live a lie anymore, you're going to be who you are authentically. That's a lot. That's a lot to digest. That's a lot to take in. That takes days to realize what just happened, how we're going to go forward. And you don't have to be a celebrity. For him to say, I feel like I'm going to be born, opens the book and the conversation to, you don't have to live your life the way that other people want you to live it. You don't have to protect other people by not being who you are authentically. You can change your life at any point and start to live for you and be born again in who you want to be, who you see yourself being, and who you've always been on the inside, to finally show out on the outside and to finally shine bright and shine through that, like, it's okay. Come out of the closet, you know, be authentically yourself, live your truth, just be you. And it was a moment in the book where I literally was like gagged. Like, it's such a vulnerable thing to say that just, it kind of brought everything to a full circle. And I really, really appreciated that. I thought it was perfect, you know, for the, it was a tail end of the book, and I thought it was just perfect. If you guys have not read this book, please read the book. It is good. It's worth it. It's under 200 pages. It's 8 chapters. Take an hour out of your day in silence. Grab a good book. Grab this book. I will put a link in the description box below on where you can find it. And I hope you enjoy it. I was really surprised. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it this much. I am happy that I read it. It kind of gave me a lot more insight on how other people deal with coming out, and how even if you're a celebrity, you're no different than anybody else. You still have the, you know, difficulties to be yourself. You still have issues. You still have hurdles to jump through. You're just like everybody else. And it's just really interesting to, like, you know, right? Like, obviously people, like, celebrities are people too. But to be this vulnerable in a book, like, girl, it was good. It was good. I hope you guys check it out. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any other recommendations for memoirs or LGBTQ subject books, please leave them down below. And with that, I say thanks for watching and have a good one.